Genesis 37:28, the King James Version read like this. Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph into Egypt. Genesis 45, verses 5 through 8. Do you have it? You want you to read with me at 1, 2, 3. Let's read. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. And he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and Lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Let's go on to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 15 through 16. Do you have it? If you have it, say amen. If you're still looking and you want us to wait for you, say hold on. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 15 through 16. We can read it together. 15 through 16. 1, 2, 3, read. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil, in that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. And the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it. Lord, we thank you for your presence. We thank you for your peace, your joy, and your calm. Hide me behind your cross. Continually let nothing be said or done that is not pleasing unto you. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight. For you are my strength and you are my redeemer. In Jesus' name, amen. You may be seated. Legacy is defined as something such as a property or money that is received from someone who has died. Something that happened in the past or that comes from someone in the past. Something transmitted or by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past, the legacy of the ancient philosophers. The origin and the etymology of legacy is Middle English, legacy, office of legate, bequest, from Anglo-French or medieval Latin. Anglo-French, office of the legate, from medieval Latin legatia, from Latin legatus, legacy. Birthright. Birthright, a right that you have because you were born into a particular position, family, place, or because it is a right of all people. And then generation, a body of living beings constituting a single step in the line of descent from an ancestor. A group of individuals born and living in a contemporary fashion. The average span of time between the birth of parents and that the end of their offspring. So I have a question for you. What are you doing today to ensure that the legacy that we are forging is worth emulating? What are you doing today to ensure that what your ancestors have done is appreciated? What are you doing today to ensure that generations from now will be able to, in a healthy way, stand on it and be proud and be excited and say that I grow from that root? What are you doing today to ensure that someone else will be preserved? What are you doing today to ensure that someone's life can hold on and they can lean on you and they can depend on you? Now going forward, what is your legacy? Oftentimes when we think about legacy, a lot of times people think about what you're going to leave in an insurance policy. Oftentimes we think, and we try to make sure that we have an insurance policy for a loved one or loved ones. You know, you'll hear oftentimes when people talk about, well, they didn't have an insurance policy. They didn't leave anything. We have to do all of this ourselves. Or there are things that happen in life where people rely only on legacy based on a financial gain. They don't look at legacy to be greater than what they get financially. But legacy is greater than that.
Yes.
Legacy is so much more greater than that. And I like the story of Joseph, because Joseph was living out a legacy that many people did not appreciate. Not even those that he grew up with would fully appreciate who God created him to be and who God called for Joseph to be. Joseph's story begins a little bit more in depth in Genesis 37. In Genesis 37, we find out that Joseph is the son of Rachel. He's the son also of Jacob, who we know as Israel.
Amen.
Joseph is their oldest son biologically. And he was favored by his father.
Yes.
Said his father loved Joseph, and if you go and find out why he loved Joseph, you'll have to go and look and see that he loved Joseph because Joseph was the son of his old age, but Joseph was also the son of the first woman that he fell in love with or chose to love.
Amen.
And so there was a natural special bond that he had with Joseph, but Joseph had some brothers that did not like him, didn't appreciate him, and did not appreciate the special privileges that he received because of his father's love.
Yes.
So what they did is they sold him to some merchantmen.
Yes.
And we read earlier, the Midianites came in as middlemen. And they took him and sold him to the Ishmaelites.
Yes.
And the Ishmaelites took him down to Egypt, and they sold him to Potiphar. Now Joseph goes on in his life, and he is a slave. Now he goes from one extreme to the next. He goes from being very a slave to being only known for what he can produce, to being only known and appreciated for what he can give. That's what everyone looked at him for when he became a slave in Egypt, is they gave him the "what have you done for me lately" syndrome. Whenever they came and seen Joseph, Joseph, what are you going to do for us? How are you going to be a blessing to us? How are you going to help us?
All right.
And I can only imagine, because the Bible doesn't go into great detail about how Joseph dealt with the situation outside of saying that he excelled in everything that he did. But the Bible didn't tell us about how Joseph felt.
All right.
We don't find out about how Joseph felt until we get to chapter 45 of Genesis, and we get to see a little bit that Joseph didn't go through this time in his life of transition happy about it.
No, he didn't.
He didn't go through it excited about it. He didn't go through without questioning what is going on, because Joseph had a dream that God gave him before he entered into slavery.
Amen.
Joseph had some thoughts and some visions that God birthed deep down inside of him before he even met the Midianites, before he even met the Ishmaelites, before he even met Potiphar, before he even went to the land of Egypt. God had shown Joseph some things. So imagine yourself being Joseph, that you go from one extreme to the next. It doesn't look anything like what you've been dreaming about. Your life does not smell anything like what you were smelling in your dreams. It doesn't seem there's no love where I am. There's no peace where I am. All I am is good for what I can do and what I can produce. And then it feels like God may have made a mistake, or either I was dreaming off kilter or something or another, because what I'm living is not what I even dreamed about. And I'm conflicted in myself. I'm conflicted in my spirit, son, but all I know to do is to serve.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I'm going to serve.
All right.
All I know to do is walk in honesty and integrity, so I'm going to walk in honesty and integrity. All I know to do is walk in love, so I'm going to walk in love. That's what I'm going to do, even though this life does not look anything like what I dreamt.
Amen.
It doesn't look anything like what he showed me. It doesn't feel like what he showed me. And the colors don't even look the same. The smell is different than what he showed me. But I'm just going to do what I know to do. That's innate in me. I'm going to serve.
Yes.
So Joseph serves, and he serves, and he serves for many years. He serves through times where he's understood for the service that he's given, and he serves at times when he's misunderstood for the service that he's given. He served during a time when he served a man with all that he had to give according to the service unto the Lord, and then the man's wife accused him of trying to rape her, yet he served. He then was entered and thrown into prison, and he was serving in the prison house. He couldn't help but serve. Can you imagine going through everything that you've gone through, find yourself in prison unjustly, and still find yourself serving? Why? Because it was in him to serve. It was in him. It was like, I can't do anything but be who I'm called to be. I can't do anything but serve at this capacity, because the fabric of my being, I am a servant. Some of you call it a slave. But I'm serving because I'm good at it. Amen. I'm good at serving, and I can't help but serve. I can't help but lift up and be kind to someone. I can't help but lift up and help somebody in a situation that I'm like, I'm in a situation, but let me help you through your situation. I can't help but pray for you. I can't help but serve you food. I can't help but give you covering. The Bible talks about that if you want to be great, the greatest of these will be a servant. So Joseph is going through, and he's serving. And as he's serving, even in prison, they make him a leader in the prison system because he's so good at serving. And then later on, he serves, and he's doing ministry while he's serving. Because serving is ministry. Amen. And ministry is serving. Amen. So he can't help but be who God created him to be, even though things don't look like what God showed him in a dream. All right. He can't help but do it. That's right. So as you read it, you'll find out that Joseph goes and he's interpreting dreams, and he's telling people like, well, this I know what my dream said. It don't look nothing like it, but I can at least interpret your dream and tell you what God is going to do for you. So he's going and he's helping other people get to the next level. And someone remembers how Joseph helped them get to the next level, even though Joseph remained at the lower level. Somebody remembered how Joseph exhorted them to be greater, even though they couldn't help but step on Joseph. Somebody remember how Joseph prayed for them, even when they refused to pray for Joseph. Somebody remember how Joseph gave to them, even though they didn't give to Joseph. Somebody remember when there was yet another need to be fulfilled. Somebody remember, well, I know a servant that will be able to fill your need. And so they called and they told the king, or they told Pharaoh, go and talk to Joseph, because he's the man that is good at service. So the king gets Joseph, and Joseph tells him an interpretation of the dream, and immediately his life does a 180. He goes from being a slave in prison to being the second in command. He goes from not owning himself to being head over everybody that used to be head over him. The Bible says that the first shall be last and the last shall be first. The Bible says that you will be the head and not the tail, above only and not beneath. The Bible then began to reveal itself through Joseph. And so Joseph goes, as we go from chapter 37 to chapter 45, Joseph goes and he's serving Pharaoh. And Pharaoh elevates him so that he says, it doesn't matter where you come from, Joseph. It doesn't matter how long it took you to get here, but you are brought here for such a time as this. So I need to put you in charge of everything that I'm in charge of. So you're only going to answer to me. And Joseph says, okay, well, that's not a problem. I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve. So Joseph begins to map out a plan to save Egypt. Joseph begins to map out a plan to save those who once ridiculed him. Map out a plan to save those who once looked down on him. Map out a plan to save and sow into those who once didn't look at him to be anything but a servant unto him, but now they're looking at him to be a savior. Hallelujah. And this is why in your commentary, if you go and you actually do some truth study, you'll find out that Joseph is an Old Testament revelation of what Jesus was in the New Testament. He's not Jesus, but he's a biblical emulation of what Jesus will do and has done in the New Testament. That's what you'll find if you do a little bit more intense study. So Joseph goes and he gets all the food and gets things going, and he's actually actually, I can imagine he's feeling a lot better about a situation. I may be a slave and I may be a servant, but I'm not being treated the way I once was being treated. But I don't forget, and I haven't forgotten where I came from.
Right.
So I know how to move in and out of these levels of authority and not allow the titles to get me confused with who I am. I'm still nobody but a servant.
All right. All right.
I'm still nobody but someone who God has appointed to be in this place. I now see my dream is starting to come to fruition.
Yeah.
So Joseph goes on, and he's serving, and he's minding the things of the king, and then his brothers come. And they go through some different things back and forth before Joseph reveals himself to his brothers. And when he comes down in chapter 45, he has revealed himself to his brothers, and his brothers are afraid because they remember how they treated Joseph. Because they remember how they ridiculed him. Because they remembered how they did not exhort him to be great. Because they have been living with a lie from the time in chapter 37 until the time in chapter 45. They've been living with this guilt and this secret that they won't tell anybody. It stays amongst them with what they did to their brother. They don't even go and tell their father that really your son is not dead. We actually sold him because we didn't like him. We actually sold him because there was something great in him that we didn't understand. We sold him because his dream was so vast and so wonderful and so brilliant that we were blinded by jealousy. Instead of being led by the light that his dream had, we actually sold him. So Joseph in chapter 45 is saying, hey, it's me, Joseph. And they're looking like, who? The one you sold.
All right.
You know, the one that you sold for, I think it was 20 pieces of silver you sold me for.
Right.
It's me. Let me take my cap off. It's me. And then they're afraid. Why are they afraid? Because they know that their heart internally was not pure.
Yes.
Because it was not a heart of service. Then they're afraid because they think, well, if I had done that, I only expect something negative or something bad to happen to me because justly it should happen. But Joseph comes and says, it's okay.
Yes, yes.
You thought that you were doing this because of something only you had control over. But I had to come this way. See, while I was spending time by myself, working for Potiphar when people didn't think I was anybody, God was with me.
Yes, yes.
While I was spending time cleaning and working and making sure I served all these people, God was whispering in my ear. While I was spending time in prison for a crime that I did not commit, God stayed with me. God continued to reveal with me that he would never leave me and he would not forsake me. While I was spending time interpreting dreams and staying in prayer and laying out and fasting and praying, I didn't know why God still had me doing things that nobody else around me seemed to do, but I knew that I was doing it for a greater purpose, and now I know why. It wasn't you that sent me, but it was God that sent me before you. See, if you had loved me the way I really wanted you to love me, you never would have sent me. If you had loved me the way I needed you to love me, I never would have prayed. If you had loved me the way I needed you to love me, I never would have fasted. I never would have put down my plate. I never would have interceded. I never would have sought his face. If you had loved me with what the love that I was longing for, that only he could fulfill, I never would be in a place to serve you.
All right, all right.
I wouldn't have served you at the capacity that I could serve you at if I didn't go down and I was brought down to a humble state to realize that I am indeed a servant. I would not have done what God fulfilled for me to do if my bed was easy, and if I didn't go through trials and tribulations, and if I didn't go through misunderstandings and hatred and bitterness, if I didn't go through these things, I wouldn't have been able to love you at the capacity that God has called for me to love you had I not. So it wasn't you. It was something in me that would not come out because he is so vast.
Yes.
And because his mind, his thinking is infinite.
Yes.
Because I can't understand him, and neither you don't try, you'll hurt your head.
Yes.
It wasn't you, it was him.
Yes.
He sent me before you.
Yes.
He told me that I had to be isolated.
Yes.
He told me that I had to walk alone. He told me
Yes.
that I had to walk. He told me that I had to walk alone. I gotta walk alone, but they don't get to walk alone. What's up with that? I gotta walk alone, but they get to still find comfort somewhere with somebody. Sometimes a journey is just what you need to find out who you are called to be.
Amen.
Sometimes you collide with destiny away from where you began. Home. What does home look? What does home look like? Where's the comfort of home? Can you imagine? Can you see it? I just want to go home. I want to go home.
Yes. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord.
At home, I was loved. My daddy loved me. At home, I was enveloped with peace from my father. Nobody could hurt me at home. Nobody could mistreat me at home. At home, my daddy shouted me and covered me. At home, I felt good. I could walk around and I was free to tell you what I thought.
Yes.
At home, I was free to share my dreams. And even when my daddy didn't understand it, he still loved me. I just want to go home.
Yes. Yes.
Can you
Yes.
imagine? Some of us can imagine. I just want to go to that place of safety.
Yes. Yes.
I just want to go to that place that I'm free to be me.
Yes.
I just want to go that I'm not misunderstood, especially when I'm not trying to be misunderstood. I just want to go home. But God wouldn't let him go home. He said, I'll go with you. But I need you to serve. So this is what Joseph is explaining to his brothers. He said, now God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth and to save your lives by great deliverance.
Yes.
So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. And he had made me a father to Pharaoh. Now that made me scratch my head because Pharaoh told Joseph that he was in charge and that Joseph was second in the kingdom and that Joseph had power over absolutely everything except under Pharaoh. But because Joseph was such a good servant, he realized it didn't matter what title you had. It didn't matter where you thought you were on the hierarchy of life. God has appointed me to be a father to you. Even though you technically are above me, I am indeed your father. I'm the one leading and guiding here. I'm the one making sure that things get done. I'm the one that God has positioned in such a way to preserve a posterity even for Egypt.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Because he was a servant.
Yes.
Sometimes a crisis will drive you to a remote place where God has your undivided attention.
Yes.
Say that again.
Have you been there?
Yes.
Have you been there? Undivided attention. Because we're easily distracted by life.
Yes.
Because we're easily distracted by circumstances. Because we're easily pulled away
Come on.
based on whoever wants to call us. Because anybody can easily influence us. So sometimes he allows a crisis to come in just to say, do I have your attention right now?
Amen.
I don't have to yell anymore. I don't have to go chasing after you anymore. All roads lead to me.
Amen.
Sometimes he will allow that to happen so that you can begin to forge a path and live a life worth emulating. What?
Yes. Hallelujah.
So you can begin to forge a path. If he did not give you the crisis, you would not be where he wanted you to be.
All right.
You wouldn't willingly go, so he had to push you over there. Because you said, I kept getting blocked out over here, and I really want to be over there with them, but they keep rejecting me, and they don't want me. And he said, because you're not supposed to be there, he's pushing you over into another area, and then he's pushing you over into another area, and then you feel confounded, and you feel all lost and all by yourself. And he said, this is exactly where revelation.
Thank you, Jesus.
So you're no longer calling on this one and hoping for an answer. And you're no longer seeking for that one and hoping for an answer. And you're no longer going out and seeking out different ways to answer when the only answer is in Him.
Yeah.
When the only true revelation comes through God, through relationship with Him, honest relationship with Him, intimate relationship with Him, for Him to know what the tears all mean, for Him to understand what the groaning is all about, for Him to understand when you go and you lift your hands, for Him to understand that He don't have to pump and prime you to praise Him anymore, because if it had not been for the Lord on my side, where would I be? Because I was drawn to a crisis just so I can remember who He called me to be. I was called to serve. 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 So I don't long for the old stuff anymore. But I know that I'm here to be of service. You'll go on down into Genesis 45 and you'll find that Pharaoh even tells Joseph, hey, bring your family here. Bring everybody here. Have them bring everybody and tell them to come on in, because we want to be a blessing to them, because if you had not been a blessing to us, we wouldn't be here. So everybody come, and we want to be a blessing to your family. And the only reason why they were able to do that is because Joseph led them through love.
Amen.
Because Joseph showed them how to love. Because Joseph received his family back, although they actually tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Although they actually sold him into slavery, Joseph went ahead and received them back. So Pharaoh says, hey, if you love them, I love them. You love them? I love them too. Bring them on here. And then he gave them the city of Goshen. And then not only did he give them the city of Goshen, he gave them gifts and packages and gold and silver. And he gave him the best, the choices of all the land. When they got to Egypt, they came in full, and they were coming in with all kind of gifts.
Yes. Hallelujah.
And then over in Exodus, there rose a king that didn't know Joseph and didn't know Pharaoh. He didn't know, the king Pharaoh didn't know his legacy. He didn't know what generation he came down in. But there was a man named Joseph.
Yeah.
And there was a Pharaoh that allowed Joseph to be a father to him. And so he oppressed the Israelites. So he began to make them slaves, and he took everything that his great-great-great-great-great-grandfather gave them, and he oppressed them and made their lives really hard. But there was a king of kings that some of the Israelites forgot about, and there was a Lord of lords that some of the Israelites forgot about, but God did not forget about them. And there was a remnant that was praying, and there was a remnant that was still fasting, and there was a remnant that was still serving, and there was a remnant that remembered who Joseph was, and they began to lay out before the Lord and say, God, relieve us of our oppression. Father, relieve us of this injustice system. Father, relieve us of these situations and circumstances that cause us to be less than who you've called for us to be.
Hallelujah.
And in Exodus 12, after the last plague happened, guess what happened? The Israelites were told that they were free to leave Egypt. And guess how they left? The same way they came in. They came in getting gifts of gold and silver and land and money and animals and all the rest of it. And when they left, guess how they left? The Bible says, your Bible says, and the people took their dough, and it was leavened before their kneading troughs, before their bound. The children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed all of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them as such required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. They said, welcoming gifts and parting gifts. You're going to bless me because I'm blessed in the city, and I'm blessed in the field, and I'm blessed as I come, and I'm blessed as I go. Why are you blessing me? Well, I served you for over 500 years. That's why you're blessing me. You're blessing me because I'm due a blessing. You're blessing me because I serve the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. You're blessing me because you can't help but do what was started in the legacy of when I got here. I was blessed to be here, and as my parting gift in leaving, I'm blessed to leave. Can I have you go? Come up off that silver. Come up off them animals, because I have to go, and I'm going to leave the same way I came.
Yes.
So then we come down to Deuteronomy, and I'm here to wrap up, 30 and 15. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, death and evil. In that I command thee, you don't have a choice. It's not a multiple choice question. I command you to choose this day whom you want to serve. In that I command thee thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. And the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it.
Yes.
I command you
Command.
to love the Lord. I command you to serve him. You don't have a choice in the matter.
Amen.
But he comes with this. You don't have a choice in the matter if you're going to walk with God. If you're going to walk with God, you give up your choice.
Make it plain.
Thank you, Lord.
You
Thank you.
understand?
Amen.
If you choose to be with him, you give up all other. You only get to make one choice.
Thank you, Lord.
You get one choice in this whole thing. Life and death, life and good, or death and evil.
All right.
That's the only choice. If you choose to go with the Lord, then everything else is a commandment.
Yes.
It's not a choice
That's right.
whether you worship. It's not a choice
All right.
whether you praise.
That's right.
It's not a choice whether you give. It's not a choice whether you serve or not. And the funny thing is, he's going to make sure you know it's not a choice, because you're not going to serve everybody that wants your service.
All right. All right. That's right.
You're not going to serve everybody that's looking to be kind to you.
All right.
Was Pharaoh looking to be kind to Joseph before he found out that Joseph had something he could give him? No. You're not going to serve everybody that wants to see you come in second in command and actually a father to the one that you're supposed to actually be serving. That's not what he's saying. He said, when you come up on this side, there's some things that you're going to have to do that's going to disagree with everything that's within you naturally.
Oh, wow.
But you got to do it anyway.
Thank you, Jesus.
If you are his,
Hallelujah.
if you're his, if you really choose him, then he's going to have you doing some unconventional things.
Yes.
He's going to have you do some things that make you scratch your own head and say, I look like a fool. You know what my flesh tell me to do. And he said, well, no, if you serve me, you get to look like a fool for me. You're a fool in love. Yes, you are. You're a fool in love. Yes, you are.
Hallelujah.
You only get that one choice
Thank you, Jesus.
in serving him. And this is what your word says. Herein is love. Not that we love God, but that he loved us and sent his son to be propitiation for our sins. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God sent not his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. But when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his son and made a woman made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons. What are we talking about? Legacy. A life worth emulating. A life worth somebody coming in your footsteps and doing exactly what you did. And getting a good harvest out of what you did, because you gave them a legacy worth doing.
Yes.
Because you gave them steps worth walking in. And so I know some of you are wondering, well, what legacy am I leading? And I can only give you examples of me. And because I don't want you, if you don't want to tell your business, I surely ain't going to tell your business. I'm going to tell my business. Legacy looks like this. I have a strong work ethic. I've been working a long time. I thought it was fun for a while, and it's work. And so I've been working a long time, and I do have a healthy work ethic. And I was like, I want to leave my children a good legacy about having a healthy work ethic, and about being able to be an employer and an employee, about being able to serve in ministry and do all these different things. And the Lord said, that's good, that's good, that's good. He said, but you can get easily out of balance, because you're showing them all about work, but you don't show them how to rest. You don't show them that there's boundaries to this thing. He said, you need to show them what it's like to rest. I showed you. I said, you did? He said, I showed you at the beginning of time. He said, in the beginning, God, that was me. I created everything. That was me. I said it was all good. That was me. He said, and then on the Sabbath, guess what I did? Nothing. I did absolutely nothing. He said, but you think you better than me, because you'll work Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He said, where is your Sabbath at? He said, there is a way that they're supposed to be, and you are not leaving a good legacy for your children. Would you want your children working 7 days a week? Would you want your children working from sun up to sundown to sun up again? Would you want that? What would you do if your baby came and told you she was working like that? I said, I'd be praying to you like, Lord, let her get a revelation that she needed to rest. Lord, let her get a revelation that she needs to take some time off. He said, now if you want her to do that, certainly you can show her how to do it. I ain't got nothing but girls, by the way. Certainly you can show her how to do it. I said, well, absolutely. How do I do that? Because for these last, I don't know, 50, 11 years, all I've been doing is working. I don't know how to rest. And he said, oh, remember back a few years ago you were saying that you was taking certain time off, and people were like, don't know, you need to be available at all times. And you was even telling other people, if Jesus won't help them, ain't nothing I can do. He said, you need to go back to that thought process. Don't let nobody stop you from taking a Sabbath. I said, yes, Lord, you're right. My bad. Okay, where's my do not disturb button on my phone? Where is it? Let me set the schedule up. Lord, help me, because you know I got the can't help it to where I can't help but work. So I had to set up a do not disturb button, because some people don't understand boundaries. Some people think that they are supposed to be accessible to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pastor Brian talked about this last week. If you can't get Pastor Brian or Pastor Shay, there's going to be many times that you won't be able to get me. Intentionally. Love you, though. Intentionally, I will not be available. Why? Because I need to rest. Because God rested. Because if he rested, then certainly I need to rest. Because I want to leave a legacy worth emulating. I want to leave a path worth walking in.
Thank you, Lord.
So I went and I said, oh, okay. What else you want me to do? What else can I turn off? Hey, help me to see this a little bit differently. And so he was just showing me different things, and a thing that prayer. Pastor Brian's been talking about prayer, and I'm wrapping up. And he said that we should pray every morning. We get up and we pray. And there are people that come in on the phone call, and that's great. And we get up and we pray and we do that. And he told me, because my office is on the other side of our house, bless the Lord. Not my own office. And it's on the other side of the house, but there's a catwalk that connects the house and my office. And so there are times I get up and pray, and those of y'all in prayer, y'all know sometimes it get real good. You know, get real good. And so while you're in prayer, it's echoing down the hall. And one morning when my husband got up to pray, and he came down, I said, what are you doing? Because he was closing the door. And he was like, well, the kids were complaining that because they heard that it was loud and it was disturbing them. I said, it's supposed to. Hallelujah. But I really didn't intend to disturb them, but I am leaving a legacy of prayer. So I closed the door down, but I know it's still echoing through the cracks. And I find myself walking up and down the hallways and calling out the names of my children, those that live with us and those that don't live with us. Lord, bless them. Lord, keep them protected under your blood. I need to give them a legacy of prayer, because there's going to be times when Mama's not there, when Mama Shay's not there, when Tashay is not there, that they don't need to know how to pray and how to go before God, whether there's a prayer service or not, whether somebody else is calling for prayer or not. They may have to live a life like Daniel had to live, where he had a prayer service 3 times a day and he was the only one that showed up. He took the whole country on his shoulders because God had asked him to serve. And I believe that is a legacy worth leaving. Those are steps worth emulating, right? Right? Yeah, right. You ain't got to agree now.
I agree.
Because I now understand what he's telling me. It's like, hey, you might get the popular vote, you might not. And that's all right. Going on and talking about Jesus, and I'm going to wrap it up with these scriptures. But when the time arrived that God was set by God the Father, that was set by God the Father, God sent his Son, born among us of a woman, born under the conditions of the law, so that he might redeem us, those of us who have been kidnapped by the law. Was Joseph not kidnapped? Did they not buy the man? Thus we have been set free to experience our rightful heritage. You can tell for sure that you are now fully adopted as his own children, because God sent the Spirit of his Son into our lives, crying out, Papa, Father. Doesn't that privilege and intimate conversation with God make it plain to you that you are not a slave but a child? And if you are a child, you are also an heir with complete access to the inheritance. For what the law could not do in that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit.
Yes.
Come on now.
Yes.
Come on now. God went for the jugular when he sent his own Son. He didn't deal with the problem as something remote and unimportant. In his Son Jesus, he personally took on the human condition, entered the disordered mess of struggling humanity in order to set it right once and for all. The law code, weakened as it always was by fractured human nature, could never have done that. The law has always ended up being used as a band-aid on sin instead of a deep healing of it. And now that the law code asks for but could not deliver is accomplished as we, instead of redoubling our own effect, simply embrace what the Spirit is doing in us. What did Jesus Christ do? Jesus came. Jesus came and took on the whole sins of the whole entire world to do what? To serve. He says he didn't come to be served, but he came that he might serve. He came that he might bear the sins of the whole world, just to get us back in right relationship with the Father, just to get us back to a place that we could be preserved for service unto the Father, just to get us back into a place that we can worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Yes, I'm talking about the legacy of Joseph, but I'm also stepping over into the New Testament and talking about the legacy of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ did go to Calvary to save a wretch like you and me. That was indeed love. But what did he do in between that? Jesus loved the unlovable. Jesus forgave the unforgivable. Jesus went through and actually preserved those that didn't need to be preserved. Jesus told us how to walk in love, how to talk in love, how to emulate love. Jesus told us how to sing praises unto the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Jesus told us how not to walk in bitterness and not to walk in unforgiveness, but to walk in love. Jesus told us how to die. He taught us how to die. He taught us how to yield it all up because we weren't afraid of death anymore. Death, where's your sting? Because it don't matter no more. Oh, grave, where's your victory? Because it don't matter anymore. Why? Because Jesus went and he hung and he died, but then he got up on the third day with all power. With all power. With all power. All power. So it don't matter what happens to you. It doesn't even matter who it happened through. Some people, it's funny how people go out of their way to be nasty and then say praise the Lord. It's funny how people go out of their way to be hateful and evil and then say lift your hands and give God some praise. It's fun. I wonder, what is that about? Know him in the power, in the fullness of his power, in the fullness of his resurrection. Allow him to bury down that evil way. Allow him to bury down that judgment way. Allow him to bury down that discontentment. Allow him to bury down that bitterness. Allow him to bury down that unforgiveness and rise up and be who he called you to be. He called you to be an instrument of love. He called you to be an instrument of peace. He called you to be an instrument of forgiveness. He called you to be an instrument of restoration. He called you to be an instrument of healing. He called you to be an instrument of hope. Emulate him. For he has lived a life worth emulating. He has left a legacy worth duplicating. He has left a way that we are supposed to walk. We are supposed to talk. We are supposed to grow and we are supposed to know.
Thank you, Jesus.
And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And if you're so stuck in the Old Testament word, that's in Deuteronomy. But if you also want to calculate and put Matthew in there, Jesus said unto him, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. Jesus said, love the Lord your God with all your passion and prayer and intelligence. This is the most important, the first of any list. But there is a second to set alongside it. Love others as well as you love yourself.
Amen. Well, all right. Okay.
And we like loving ourselves but that and love others as well as you love yourself.
My Lord.
We don't like doing that. If you don't want nobody to treat your mama the way you treat somebody else's mama,
Go ahead.
you better love the way the Lord said love. If you don't want nobody to treat your child the way you treat somebody else's child, you better love the way God said love. If you don't want nobody to treat your niece or your nephew the way sometimes you treat everybody else's niece and everybody else's nephew, you better love the way God said to love. If you don't want nobody to treat your grandmama the way you treat somebody else's grandmama, you better love the way God said love. If you don't want nobody to treat your pastor the way you treat other people's pastor, you better love the way God said love. If you don't want nobody to treat your teacher, your preacher, your police officer, your legislative body, your president, we ain't gonna talk about. If you don't want nobody to treat your president the way you treat my president, you better love the way God said to love. Where is this philosophy that you want everybody to treat you good, but you pick and choose who you treat good? Where is this philosophy where you want everybody to love you, but you hateful to who you want to be hateful to? Where is this philosophy where you want to be better to those that you want to be better to, but you want everybody to smile at you and embrace you and be kind? Where do you get it from? You don't get it from God. And he would dare say, if you acting like that, you ain't none of mine. Don't none of mine act like that.
Come on now.
Don't none of mine live like that. Don't none of mine walk like that. Don't none of mine talk like that.
All right.
Thank you, Lord. Yes. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Love others as well as you love yourself. You think I give because I'm just giving. I might stand in need.
All right.
I give because my loved ones may one day stand in need. I give because he gave. And I'm emulating him. I love because he loved and I'm emulating him. I offer because he offered and gave up and I'm emulating him. I'm being who he called for me to be. So I need to be broken in this place. Anything that's not like him, take it away. Not just in a song, take it away, Lord. Take it away, Lord. And it sounds good. But he will give you opportunities for him to take it away. He will give you opportunities for you to walk in love. He will give you opportunities for you to walk in forgiveness. He will give you opportunities to find yourself being at the head of something and having to serve those who tried to kill you. He will give you opportunities to show people what Jesus was like. If you're looking for Jesus, he looked like me. If you're looking for Jesus, he looks like my worship. If you're looking for Jesus, he looks like my praise. If you're looking for Jesus, he looks like my sacrifice. If you're looking for Jesus, he looks like my hold on. He looks like my strong tower. He looks like where I can run in and be safe. We have to find. We have to live a life worth emulating. We have to leave a legacy worth following. We have to bury and boost and do trailblazing steps worth actually walking in. In the name of Jesus. Then and only then will you forge a path to begin a life worth emulating, a legacy worth celebrating, a call worth answering. God bless you.